Hello, today is January 3rd. It's the ninth day of Christmas, and we continue our Advent adventure and beyond to reflect on the meaning of the gift we received at Christmas. Today, I want to reflect on another character from the Old Testament, the prophet Isaiah. And I love Isaiah. In fact, all through Advent, we heard his prophecy in the weekday readings, in the Sunday readings. Isaiah is the prophet that seems most to have helped us prepare for the coming of Christ, to understand what this is. He's the one that first said, "Prepare the way in the desert, prepare the way of the Lord." And his words were echoed then later by John the Baptizer. Isaiah was an interesting prophet because he was a classical prophet. That is, we have his writings, his prophecies, and there are 61 chapters of his writings. And it was preserved by a school of disciples who listened to him and wrote down what he had to say. And so we have that still as a part of our tradition to help us understand what it is that God is saying to us. Isaiah was an interesting character. He was probably a priest, a Levite, and was praying one day in the temple. In the 6th chapter of his book, we hear him in his story of his call. He's praying, and it's time for the incense to be sacrificed. And they had this golden altar filled with coals, and they would dump a whole scoop of incense on it, and the cloud of incense would just rise up. And as that was happening, Isaiah could see that, and he saw the skies opened. And he was amazed because he saw the throne of God, and he thought, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Who can see God and live? Who can see God and not want to give up their life in this world to have a life with God? And God said, no, you're not coming with me. But he then says, I will purify you. And so an angel comes and takes a coal from the altar and presses it to the lips of Isaiah and cleanses, purifies him, so that his sins forgiven, now he can go forth and proclaim the gospel, the good news of God, the good news that would prepare the way for the coming of Christ. You know, it's kind of the beginning of the gospel right there. What's an interesting thing is that in that 6th chapter, there is that moment that after Isaiah is purified, he's cleansed of his sin by God. God says, who can I send to the people? Who will take my word to them? Who will make my promise known to them? Who will call them to faithfulness? Who will enable them to grow to become the people I intended them to be? And Isaiah says, here I am, Lord. Send me. And I always love that way he just volunteers. You know, was he caught up in the ecstasy of the moment? Perhaps. But Isaiah continued to say that throughout his life. Here I am, send me. And I think that's an important thing for us to reflect on as we celebrate the Christmas season. Already people have taken down Christmas decorations. They put stuff away. They've kind of set Christmas aside because they look at it as a holiday instead of a promise. God comes to share our human life. That's what we celebrate in Christmas. He comes to show us how we are to live in this world, how we can be the kind of people that God intended us to be from the beginning, how we can live a life not free from sin, but able to overcome sin and its effects, to make this world better, to bring about the kingdom that Jesus promised again and again and again. And the question that arises during this Advent and Christmas season is, who can God send into the world to make this known, to bring this promise, this hope to a world that desperately needs it, who's put away all the holiday stuff, but really needs to know and experience the promise of God's mercy, compassion, kindness, and love? Will we volunteer? Will we say, here am I, send me? Hopefully each one of us will. Because wherever God sends us, to whomever God sends us, God will also give us what we need to accomplish whatever it is that he asks of us. It's okay to volunteer because he'll be there with us and make it possible. Have a blessed Christmas season.